Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I will show you how to turn any pair of pants into a high-waisted bikini pant. Okay, let's go. So for this tutorial, you will need craft paper, paper scissors, pen, tracing wheel, ruler, fabric scissors, tape measure, swimwear elastic, pins, your fave pants, and a sewing machine. You will also need about a ½ meter of some swimwear fabric and some matching thread. I use this really nice orange color, ready for summer. I also decided to line it, and I used this very sheer, stretchy mesh, which is great for swimwear. If you do decide to use a lining, you need to make sure that it stretches just as much as your outside fabric. So before we get started, put on your pants that you are going to trace and then measure how far up your waist you want the pants to go. Record the difference and then measure around your waist at that point. We're going to need these for the pattern. Start by drawing a horizontal line and then a vertical line straight down the middle. You can do this by folding, but I prefer to do it on the flat. Place your pants so that the center lines up with the center line on the paper. We will trace the front on one side and the back on the other. Use your tracing wheel to trace the front leg hole, the hip and the waist. Then mark them on the paper so you can see it better. So right now you should have the shape of your pant as it is, but we want to make them high-waisted, so let's add the measurement that we made at the beginning. I wanted mine to be about 4 inches higher than it is, so I added the 4 inches from the center point. Take your waist measurement that we did at the beginning and divide by 4. Mark this measurement outwards from the new waist height that you just made, and then connect the hip line to your new waistline. It doesn't matter if it goes in a little bit, it means that it will fit very snugly when you put it on. Once you've got the new shape of your pant, you can then go around the whole of the outside with a ½ inch seam allowance. Just a quick note, when I laid my pants flat, there was about an inch that wasn't accounted for, so what I did was added that inch to the bottom of the front. Okay, so placing the pants back in the same position it was before, trace on the other side, this time tracing the back part of the pattern. As you can see, once you have drawn out the tracing part, the rest of it is pretty easy to draw in. You can use the same waistline because the depth and the waist width is the same. All that's left is to join the dots and then add a seam allowance. So as you can see, it is pretty easy to modify any pair of pants into a high-waisted pant. All that's left to do now is to cut out the pattern, keep the line in the middle and use that line to fold the paper in half so you have 2 different patterns. Okay, let's cut the fabric. Fold your pattern in half and then fold your fabric in half and cut one side on the fold. Then, when you're done, flip it over and cut the other side of your pattern also on the fold. And you should have your front and your back piece. You will also need to do this with your lining pieces, one front and one back. Let's sew. So we're going to add the lining to our pieces by sewing them together. To do this, you want to lay your lining piece on top of your main fabric piece, making sure that the wrong sides are facing each other. Sew the lining to your main fabric using a zigzag stitch on all sides. It should look something a little like this. Now that we've attached our lining to our fabric, you can see there is a wrong side and a right side. Okay, so now we are going to lay our pieces right sides together and we are going to sew the crotch and the 2 sides with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. So now that we have the basic shape, we are going to go to the side seams and the crotch seams and reinforce those seams. I'm going to do this by doing a 3-step zigzag stitch over that seam, pushing the seam allowance to one side. I find that when I do this, my swimwear lasts a lot longer and seams don't tend to pop. And this is what the seam should look like. So now we are going to add the elastic. I've got a thick one for the top and a thinner elastic for the leg holes. To add the elastic, we are going to sew on the right side of the fabric, and then we are going to flip it over and top stitch down on the inside of the fabric. To add the elastic, sew it directly onto the waist using a zigzag stitch, slightly pulling the elastic, not the fabric, as you go. When you come round full circle, you can then overlap that zigzag stitch by about 1 inch to make sure that the elastic is secure and in place. You can then fold it over and use a 3-step zigzag to top stitch that elastic into the waistband. You might need to pull it a little to make sure it stays straight. Go slowly and it will look really good when you're done. So snip off any loose threads and admire your handiwork. Looks pretty good, doesn't it? And do the exact same thing for the leg holes. So that is it, end of the tutorial. That is how you change any pair of pants you have into high-waisted pants. So let's see how it looks, and here is my bum on the internet once more. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, then give it a like or a comment. I love to hear from you guys, and if you haven't already, then subscribe. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!